riddle me this, riddle me that. Before it's too late, deal with your thoughts that carry much weight. Thoughts can keep you in your past, alone and sad, unable to laugh. Time to be your one true self, putting those bad thoughts in the attic's highest shelf. The Alpo Show is in the know. The Human Spirit Experiment starts now.
The world has gone crazy. What do we do? I guess all we can do is listen to the Alpo Show, the Human Spirit Experiment. He'll help us. He'll know what to do. Hey, welcome. Welcome on this Tuesday night. It's the Alpo Show, the Human Spirit Experiment. And boy, are we glad to see you. All those who are coming in now and who'll be coming in later. Happy Tuesday, everybody. Happy Weird Day, everybody. I hope you're having a great day. Tonight, we're going to be talking about one of the most important things in the world that you can be doing right now is that thoughts carry weight. Thoughts carry weight. Are you this? What is stopping you? You see, the ego in our head is the real burden. The thoughts that hold us back. And that's why we're doing this show. The thoughts carry weight. Before we get going, I want to ask you to please subscribe to my channel and press that bell right there for me. Press that bell so that you get notified. Otherwise, you will not be notified. Thank you so much for giving me an opportunity for those who are coming in now and those who are coming in later. And, why don't we go ahead and start right now? That's what we want to talk about. And thoughts carry weight. All right. In this process, we are talking about the Wisdom for Beginners series. I'm going to go over this. I'm going to take it a little bit of a strange way, but it's where the day is leading me, and I thought that it would be something that I should bring up to everyone. And just to let you know, today's a sad day in the Alpo house here. We lost a wonderful friend, Clay Villanova. He gave up the ghost. And now he's in the house of Sophia, having a great time. And today I want to honor him. Clay is someone who has meant a lot in my life. I've spent a lot of time with Clay. And he, his system gave out. He had cancer. But that does not explain his life. I would consider Clay a holy man. He is someone who spent his whole life trying to help people get over themselves. He saw the burden that most of the stuff up within us are the thoughts that carry weight. And so he did ceremonies with ayahuasca, and he had hundreds of people from all over the world would come to experience his ceremonies. He even went to Peru, down in the jungle, and he would take people to do ayahuasca ceremonies. And most people will know Clay is someone who played the guitar. And I think that what really describes him, I would say in one word, is he was thoughtful. thoughtful, thoughtful, interesting, full of thought, thoughtful. He was always someone who always say, never stop thinking, which is really where this whole thing is about, okay? Is to never stop thinking. He was somebody who was a doer, and he was not someone who I would consider what's called an asshole. You know what an asshole is? An asshole is a person who constantly asks for your advice, yet always does the opposite of what you told them. And so his whole thing was to have the mind and the body meet together as opposed to having the ego get in the way. Now, Clay was someone who I would call a holy man. Now, a lot of us, you don't know how maybe great you are or were until after you die, right? So we got to slow down. Let's think about this a little bit, okay? Figure out which way we're going, all right? And get our heads out of the sand because thoughts carry weight and we're never to stop thinking. So, what it will come down to is I am an adult, all right? So now, would I consider Clay an adult? I certainly would. Now, but let's go, we're all adults. If you're over 21, you are an adult, all right? So, let's go back here and now let's look at what I consider someone who was an adult. And we're going to go over the 10 principles, and I'm going to share with you on how Clay was someone who completed his spiritual path. So let's start with I'm an adult of my spirit. Now, Clay was an adult of his spirit. How did I know Clay was an adult of his spirit? Number one, he was balanced. Clay was someone who, yes, he was passionate about what he was, but he never got too high or too low. He would be what I would call steady. Someone who was steady, someone who was always, he was in the boat with you, okay? He's in the boat with you. Now, spirit. There is no way I can deny that Clay was someone who was on a spiritual path. You see, we're all on a spiritual path. We all have to decide which path we're going to go down. And in order to do that, we have to be an adult. And so Clay was an adult in his spirit. And he projected it because he was a leader. And it was obvious to see that he was a spiritual man. And he lived for that. I spent a lot of time with him as well as people who are leaders, spiritual leaders. Now, first, we're talking about in spirit, and now let's talk about the mind. Clay was someone who had a great amount of experience. He traveled. He was in the armed forces. I think he was in the Navy. He had businesses. He was a grower. He was a husband. He was a father. And his mind opened up a lot of people. I would go over on Sundays after the ceremony and meet all his friends who were in the ceremonies who travel all over the world. to dig into the mind of Clay. So now let's go next to the third, which is again thought. Thought carries weight. Um, Clay was, you know, not a profoundly big person. He was very slim in stature, and so he's not someone who's like intimidating coming into a room. And so his energy, he always had an appearance of thought, his thoughts. He was very positive about his thoughts, and you could tell by what he believed in. And he believed that we're all spiritual beings, that we're all trying to find mother, and that the completion of that is to get rid of the things that held you back. And this is what he strived for, and what he put the pressure on himself to become. I knew that Clay was someone who felt responsible, very, very responsible. Now, so I would say that at the end of the day, Clay was an adult of his thought. Next is okay, so how were you with your emotion? Could you handle your emotion? Clay was always a very calm person. Yes, he could get excited, but he was a calm person. And he's known, as you can see here and here and here, by his smile. By his smile. He had just the warmest smile, and it was like he wasn't hiding anything. You could see that he was, and always tried to be, transparent. So now let's go next to his actions. We always say, or I do, and Mother does too, actions speak louder words. Okay? Not action speaks louder than words. Action speaks louder words. And Clay was a man of action. Clay took responsibility to take people all over the world so they could discover the ceremony of ayahuasca. He helped many military people. He helped people that had issues with their skin color, the way people were viewed. He was one of the ones he took and went out of his way to make sure that these people, when they left the ceremony, they felt that there was a weight lifted off them. And so, as a man of action, as a spiritual being of action, it fit Clay. Now, there was something that happened to Clay, which I don't really want to go into, but basically, there was a fight to for what he believed in and what others believed in, and so there's a federal case that's going on. He went through a lot with the hassle from the federal government, and it absolutely took its toll on Clay. But the one thing about Clay, he was a man of action. He believed that what he was doing was helping people, and he was. I've talked to many people who met Clay and always felt that he was the one that got them over the hump. Now, the thing is about leaders. All of us have. If you're watching this show, you're a leader of people, or or you want to be. Maybe you don't know how to do it, but you want to be. You want to be a wannabe, or you want to be someone who's an adult of their action. If there's anything I can say about Clay, he was a man of action. And there's a saying, you talk the talk, you walk the walk. And he was someone who did that. So now let's go to adult of the body. Clay was always in good shape, okay, but his body gave out with the cancer. But he was strong all the way. You know, our body is subjected to genetics, environment, um, how you were raised. I mean, there's all these things that come into it. Stress. I mean, it's all that. I'm not going to sit here and hold against his body. The man was in his 60s, and so we're going to get on this planet, on this realm, as long as we get. And so that's why it's very important that you be an adult of your body and take care of it. And through the end, he took care of his body, and I'm not kidding you. It happened. It went in remission. It came back, and there's no judgment here. But to say he wasn't an adult in his body, he took care of his body all the way to the end and looked for all alternative. But something happened in his surroundings that changed the way his body was put in a different environment. Okay, so we're going to go here. Next one is love. And if there's anything that, Clay was, it was love. And he was someone who he wasn't afraid to tell ya, hey, I love you. Love you guys. Love you. He gave the best hugs. Literally, they gave the best hugs. I mean, I thought my wife gave great hugs. She does, honey, you do. But Clay was right up there. Okay, just a great hugger. Yeah, and just I can't talk about him without talking about his lovely wife, my friend Cece. And they were just a great couple, just great to be around. Always just incredible. And they loved each other, and you could tell. It was an example of them, and you knew they loved each other. Just like my wife and I, if you're around us, we love each other too. So now next was surrounding. Okay, how was Clay surrounding? Well, again, his in where his place where he lived. When you walked in, you could feel the vibe. It's awesome. You walk in the driveway, you could feel it. You walk in the house. He had a place in the back where it's enough for 50 people to just mingle with each other. It's really great. So he lived in great surroundings. He made himself great surroundings for himself, and you could tell. And everybody loved to be there in the surroundings that him and his lovely wife, Cece, provided. Next is relationship, and I kind of already went on that here about him and his wife, Cece, but also relationships with others, just relationship with me. And we spent a lot of time together. We did. We spent a lot of time together, a lot of private time together. So we had some really deep discussions. I went through it with him when his father passed. Okay, being an only child, I didn't. I grew up with five of us, so it's different than when you're an only child. So, but he never let that stop. He was always open to his relationships, and you could always see. You could just see it between him and his beautiful wife, Cece. And so here we come down to the last one: decision. Decision. There's one thing about Clay was when he made his mind up. When he made his mind up that he was going to stand up for what he believed in. When he made his mind up, on how he was going to treat others. When he made his mind up about how he was going to improve his life, um, and he made the right decision that he was going to fight the courts for absolutely what he believed in. And it takes a lot to stand up to the federal government. Without going into that, I don't really want to go into that. I may go into that to another time because, you know, freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom to believe in what you want to believe and how it gets you, what you consider your sacrament, which we're going to talk about another time, but not now. So I would definitely say that definitely was an adult of his decision. So now here we're coming down to that if there's going to be one phrase to describe my friend, it was that he was always living in the full moment, the full moment. And he ended his life in completeness. And so where I decided to leave as an example, you might have thought of yourself, well, my dad was this, which my dad was a great example, and my mother. Did they have issues? Yes. But what do we do always? We take the best and leave the rest. That's how I would describe Clay. That's how I would describe him. He was somebody, and he lived in the moment, and the next moment was the next. And so I am proud to say Clay was a friend of mine, and I'm here to say that you will be missed, Clay, but we're going to dance again, buddy. We're going to dance again. I can't wait to hear you play the guitar, sing it out. But right now, it's time to rest, buddy. Time to rest. And have some more thoughts. Clay, you'll be missed. And as far as I'm concerned, you completed what you had to do here. And now you'll be back. And I'll be back tomorrow. I'm going to have my friend, Ted Heru. We're going to be talking about the 7 principles of Mayat. First one is truth, and we'll be talking about that tomorrow. And we're going to be talking about her essential oils. So maybe have you available so you can get a free sample as we go into Ted Heru's treatment tomorrow. Until then, my friend, let's not let this end. Let's make it a new beginning. And I'll see you again tomorrow. Till next time.